What's going on YouTube? So with sales of nearly 500,000 units per year, it's safe to say that the Toyota RAV4 is one of the most successful products of all time in the United States. But making a new model is no easy task, and that's what we're standing next to right now. This is the all-new 2026 Toyota RAV4. Toyota has gone all out for this new model with a huge lineup of bold trims, class-leading fuel economy, next-gen infotainment technology, and more. So, does this all-new model have what it takes to fend off all the competition? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, let's kick things off with a spec dump. Now, one of the big things about this all-new RAV4 is that it has moved to hybrid exclusive powertrains. You have a traditional hybrid as standard on all models except for the GR Sport, and then you have a plug-in hybrid as well. This standard hybrid is the 5th gen hybrid system. It's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors. This is making 226 horsepower with front-wheel drive and 236 horsepower with all-wheel drive. Now, if you choose the plug-in hybrid, that makes 324 horsepower because, of course, it has a large battery pack. Now, with this new hybrid system, you can get up to 44 mpg combined with front-wheel drive. And if you choose the plug-in hybrid, you can go up to 52 miles on pure electric range.
Now, if you're looking to buy a Toyota RAV4 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. And, of course, later on, we will be taking them out for a spin to show you the performance of these powertrains.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so that we can start out with the exterior design as well as that all-new interior. So for the exterior design, Toyota didn't rock the boat a ton. They certainly updated the overall look of this model and brought it in line with all the latest and greatest Toyotas. Now, the thing to remember about this new generation of RAV4 is that they developed it with 3 distinct different personalities. So Toyota has some trim clusters. They're in the core section, the rugged section, and the sport models. So with those 3 different options, you're going to have a wide variety of different designs you can get, and that certainly applies up here in the front. So right now we're standing as to the limited trim level. This is the top model within the core trim levels. So that means up here in the grille area, you're going to find a new body color fascia that will go all through here. Limited exclusively has the satin silver accents that are inside of the grille itself, and then you have some piano black detailing on the top and the bottom. Again, all the sport grades will have a different face, and especially the Woodland will also have a different design. And we look forward to walking you through those trim levels individually in the coming future. Now, as we move over here to our headlights, you're going to see standard full LED headlights on all RAV4s for 2026. These are projector low and high beams. We also have the up-level lighting unit, so that means we have our daytime running light and turn signal indicators, both in LED on the top and bottom. Limited also has LED fog lights integrated right here. Now, moving on to the wheels, you have several different designs ranging from 17 inches on the LE and up to 20-inch alloys. The Limited actually comes standard with an 18-inch alloy. However, we have the optional 20-inch contrast design on today's tester. I definitely really like the way these look, and it matches nicely with the overall exterior design. Now, there are some differences in terms of cladding as well, depending on which trim you get. The core trims have the matte black finish, and if you get the sport trims, that will give you a gloss finish instead. As we move up here to our mirrors, we have a gloss finish up here. Heating is going to be standard on the SE trim and above, and new for 2026, all models, including the base LE, will come standard with blind spot monitoring.
Now, at the side of the all-new RAV4, this vehicle comes in at an overall length of 181 inches, which does represent about a 1-inch increase in length over the previous generation model. We'll see how that translates to space a little bit later on. Now, as far as design touches, I do want to point out that we have blacked out window surrounds. We also have roof rails up here on the Limited model. And when it comes to the paint color, that's something worth noting. This is a new paint color for 2026 known as Storm Cloud. We first saw that on things like the Toyota Grand Highlander, and now that's made it here to the RAV4. There are also several other new paint colors this year, depending on which trim level of the RAV4 you select. You can also get a 2-tone roof on certain versions, not on this Limited though. And then as we head around to the rear design, completely new look for the RAV4. I think it has a pretty classy and elegant design to this model, and it kind of looks a little bit like a Nissan Rogue. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Now, as far as individual design touches, we have a spoiler up here at the top, an exposed rear wiper. Everything's blacked out in terms of branding besides for our RAV4 and our HEV branding through there. And let's take a look at our taillights. So our taillights are, of course, a big element of this rear design, and I'm happy to tell you that every single version of the RAV4 will have full LED taillights that include your brake light, your turn signal, and your reverse light, and has a lot of intricate detailing inside of there. Now, as we drop down to the lower fascia, all of this is going to be a rugged matte black, as well as a little bit of a silver accent. And when it comes to your tow rating, I'm happy to tell you that they have upped the tow rating. So 3,500 pounds is your maximum rating for all all-wheel drive versions. If you choose the front-wheel drive, it comes in at 1,750. Now, the RAV4 is a family vehicle. Toyota knows that, so they are actually giving you the latest and greatest safety suite as standard equipment. That's 4.0, so all of your active safety features are standard on every single RAV4. Additionally, if you go for a higher-end example like this Limited, that will throw in traffic jam assist. And also new this year is you have a drive recorder, so you don't have to have a dash cam accessory or anything like that. It is built natively into your vehicle. But guys, there's quite a lot to talk about on the inside with a new infotainment system. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now it's time to check out the interior. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. Toyota slightly updated the design of this fob. As you can see, it's got RAV4 branding on it. It's a standard smart entry system this year, and of course you can remote start as well from your Toyota application. Walking up to the vehicle, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. And then let's look on inside here at this all-new interior. So you'll notice there will be a lot of changes versus the previous generation, and it does bear a lot of similarities to many other Toyota products, including things like the larger Toyota 4Runner. But before we get into all the individual details, we're going to start with the seats. So with this trim structure, you begin with cloth seating on your LE and SE trims. As you move up, though, you get to the Softex leatherette. That's also what this Top Dog Limited will have as well. So you can see we've got a perforated design here with color contrast stitching. You have a little bit of suede accenting through the center section. And if you get a sport grade, that's going to give you a suede insert through the entire center portion. A few different colors you can get on this. Obviously, we just have kind of the plainer black today. Down here at the seat adjustments, Toyota has moved to a standard power seat on all models, 8 ways of power adjustment plus your 2-way lumbar support. Also, the XSC trim and above give you memory seats located right there. But let's climb on inside and explore all the rest. Now, the limited trim level is the top trim in terms of luxury. So let's see what materials you have in this interior. Starting out over here with our door trim, we have a leatherette across the armrest, and that continues all through the center section and over through there. Soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is actually all going to be a hard touch plastic, as well as this section right here, but we have a leatherette insert that runs through the center section and all underneath of the display. The lower panels here are also hard touch. There's no padding or anything like that. So I think they probably could have done a little bit of better job making more luxurious plastics and stuff for at least the limited trim level, because the competition does have a little bit more solidity to the interior plastics. But let's fire it up now with our standard push button start. Now with the vehicle all fired up, let's get into some individual details. Now, some of the big improvements to the interior versus the previous generation revolve around technology, and we see that highlighted up here with our gauge cluster. So first of all, Toyota now has a full digital 12.3-inch gauge cluster on all models. Previously, you could only get a digital gauge cluster on just the top trims, and this has a new software design, so you can change several different design themes, and I can kind of cycle through a few of them. One of the biggest ones is the fact that you can see that we can now put our navigation system, so that's Google Maps from my Android Auto system right there in the gauge cluster for the very first time. Certainly a big improvement over previously. Up top, you could find a head-up display. That is one of the available options on the limited trim with the hybrid powertrain, and you can also get the plug-in hybrid XSE as an option. As we move back here, we've got a new design for the steering wheel, kind of a boxier look this generation. Nice physical buttons throughout. The Limited has rain-sensing wipers as well, and your top trims have steering wheel heating. All of them will be manual, tilt, and telescoping though. Now, a big part of RAV4s has always been the interior storage and the versatility of the interior, so let's see how that compares to the competition. So with our new console here, we've got some tricks up our sleeves. So first of all, this can open up in 2 different directions, but not only that, if I press both sides simultaneously, I can actually take the lid off completely and then set it on here backwards, and now I have a hard surface, and you can use this surface for, whatever you might imagine that you need a hard surface, writing, eating, something like that. And then when you're ready to go back to the armrest, just flip that bad boy right over like so, and it will lock back into place. Now, as far as the storage itself, it is quite nice, pretty deep. You have a little felt lining down there at the bottom as well. We're in Arizona today, so we don't have our donuts with us to test the official volume, but we look forward to doing that when we get one back home in Kentucky soon. Now in front of that, you've got a couple cup holders here. It has a removable center section. Big old storage cubby right there, again with that same texture. And then above that, you have another storage shelf. This has your wireless phone charging pad, which is included on most trim levels. And then only here on the limited trim do you get a dual wireless phone charging pad, so you can have both the driver and passenger charging simultaneously. Lastly here, we have a giant passenger storage shelf. So lots of different places where you can stick objects inside of this new RAV4. Taking a look over here at the shifter, most of the models will actually have a traditional shifter, but the limited trim comes standard with Toyota's new digital shifter. So this electronic shifter is actually shaped like a nub. You just pull it back for drive. There are no paddle shifters on the steering wheel except for on the GR Sport. When we press forward into reverse, we'll see this 360-degree camera system pop up on your upper trim examples. Now, this camera system does have some big improvements over the previous generation. The resolution looks certainly a lot sharper than before, and when I press the dedicated camera button, I can go into a 3D spin view for the very first time. You can see I can kind of go through it, and it lets me kind of see through to the other side. It's a very nice graphic and is nice and interactive. Plus, on this limited trim, you even have the automatic parking system. Back behind that, you have your electronic parking brake and your brake hold system as well. Now, as we continue up the dashboard, one of the key differences from the previous generation is right here. So you used to have these big old climate knobs for adjusting your temperature. That's actually gone, even though this honestly looks like a knob still. You just have your drive mode buttons inside of this area, and this is also, for your all-wheel drive system as well. The actual climate controls are now inside of this display system. So one of the things you can see right now is I can adjust the temperature up and down with these toggles, but the other functions are inside of the screen. So when you click there, you can actually adjust the temperature. You can also pop there for all the general climate functions that you can choose. And this is a dual zone automatic climate system on all models. Also inside of here is where you'll find your seat climate controls. So heated seats will be standard on the SE trim and above. Ventilated seats are standard on your XSE trim level and above, and they do have the automatic function as well. And then that really brings me to the new screens and the new technology powering those displays. So standard now for 2026 is a 10.5-inch display. That's previously the largest size you could get on a RAV4. And then your upper end examples get this 12.9-inch display. This comes with Toyota's new software. So of course you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That's what I'm in right now. But let me go ahead and jump into Toyota's software and show you what that looks like. So with this updated system, you have some new features. So you have a home screen is one of the big things, and you have these widgets here that you can actually customize and move between. Beyond the actual layout and the graphics themselves, you just have some things that are more user-friendly, and generally the performance is going to be a lot faster overall as well, and things like the voice controls work a lot better for 2026. You still have a physical volume knob as well in this display system. With this, you're going to have a standard 6-speaker sound system on every single trim level except for the Limited, which gets a 9-speaker JBL. That, of course, is what we have, and let's give it a sample. Overall sound quality is pretty good. It certainly fills up the cabin nicely, and in typical JBL fashion, it is more of a bass-heavy sound system, so it has plenty of bass if that's the type of music you like to listen to. Now, as we take a look up here at the top, we've got an auto-dimming rear view mirror. We also have the digital camera rear view system with HomeLink remote, since we have the Limited trim level. And then the Limited also comes standard with a panoramic sunroof. This is the only trim where it's standard, but it is optional on some of the other trims, and you can also get a standard size unit as well. As you can see, it's got a fast moving sunshade, and the front panel opens up.
Now we've got to talk about the rear seat area for this all-new RAV4. Like I said on the outside, this vehicle grew about an inch over the previous generation model, and what that means in terms of rear space is that it is going to be mostly the same as compared to the outgoing RAV4. That's a little disappointing, however, it's still good numbers for the segment. So what we're looking at is about 38 inches of legroom, 39.5 inches of headroom. Particularly the headroom is really quite good. The legroom is going to be lower than a lot of the main competition, such as Honda CR-V and Hyundai Tucson, so do keep that in mind. Now, of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. That's because we want to see a realistic knee room figure. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", I'm 5'9", and we are looking at about 6.5 inches of knee room. And then underneath of the seat, we do have room for my feet to slide. Now, the seats themselves are actually quite comfortable here in the rear. I definitely like that. A lot of times they kind of cheap out on that. And then we have the ability to recline a decent distance. Now, we also have a center armrest with 2 cup holders inside, and we're not done with features because there's actually quite a few. We have 2 USB-C ports right here in the center, and the Limited grade is actually the only model that will have the heated back seats. It's certainly nice to have the heated back seats. That's something CR-V cannot get. And then down below we have rear vents. I believe those are standard on all models. Now, let's take a look at the door trim. It is going to be nicely done. So we have soft touch on the upper part, leatherette all through the center section. You have hard touch on the lower parts, and then also quite a bit of door storage. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we have a hands-free power one, as you would expect. And let's talk about overall cargo capacity. So what we're looking at behind the second row of seats is about 38 cubic feet of space. If we fold those seats down, which there are not any handles to do in the cargo area, so you do have to kind of just reach up here and give her a toss. They fold 60-40 split, by the way. That's going to give you your maximum of 70 cubic feet for this new RAV4. That is slightly bigger than before. It's about 1 cubic foot more space than the previous generation model. However, it's not drastically bigger for this new generation. I do want to point out it is still less than some of the rivals, such as Honda CR-V and Hyundai Tucson when it comes to overall cargo capacity. If you choose the plug-in hybrid variant of this model, that does also further reduce your cargo capacity down to a maximum of around 64 cubic feet. Now, if you're curious as to how this may compare to all of its competitors, there are a ton of options in this compact SUV segment. We'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've gone through all of these compact SUVs and ranked them in the 10 most important categories to you, the shopper. Things like cargo capacity, powertrain choices, interior technology, and luxury features. All of that is detailed there for you on our website, and you can sort and see the best options for you in the segment based on what's most important to you. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely check that out. Now, back to the RAV4. Like I said, there are not any handles to fold the rear seat, so I did have to do those manually. But let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. It's a Car Confections review after all. Behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, we are looking at 75 inches of cargo length behind his seating position. And then behind the second row, 38 inches of length. 44 inches wide. The height, a little over 30 inches tall. And then the load-in height, let's also get that as well. We're looking at only about 28 inches, so that's a really good load-in height. Now, If we lift up the floor, one of the things I'm really happy to see in this new model is a spare tire that, even despite it being a hybrid, you will have a spare tire on this one and the plug-in hybrid variant as well. So definitely surprised to see that on both of the models. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new 2026 Toyota RAV4. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also get things like our sound level reading. But first, we need to start with a hard acceleration so you can see what this all-new hybrid powertrain is all about.
Okay, that was 60 miles per hour with this 2026 RAV4. So, of course, the big news with this next generation RAV4 is the fact that they're moving to a full hybrid powertrain arrangement. So you have a traditional hybrid and you also have a plug-in hybrid option. We're in the traditional hybrid right now. This is going to be what the vast majority of customers will walk away from the dealership with because it is standard on almost every single trim level, 6 out of 7 trim levels. So what this is Toyota's 5th generation hybrid system. It's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine plus your electric hybrid componentry. Your total system power is 226 horsepower with front-wheel drive, 236 horsepower with all-wheel drive. We're in the all-wheel drive example right now, and I have to say, I'm quite impressed with that initial acceleration.
Yeah, that's actually quite good. It's up about 17 horsepower over the previous generation RAV4 hybrid. And, you know, especially if you compare on the base gasoline side, what you used to get as standard equipment on the RAV4 without the hybrid system, this is a significant power boost. And I think really the horsepower is quite good, but also the hidden factor there is your all-electric torque. As you get off the line, it really pushes you back in your seat. And I think it's a huge upgrade over, you know, the standard gasoline setup that used to be offered on the RAV4.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, some people might be a little skeptical, right, about having a standard hybrid. Or maybe they've never had a hybrid or something like that before. But I think when you feel the power, and we'll talk about the fuel economy in just a second, those two things combined, I think, are going to be able to convince even the most skeptical of the skeptics. There's another acceleration. That time we were in the sport mode. Yeah. I'm impressed. It actually has enough torque to push you back in the seat, which is just surprising because, you know, as a standard powertrain in this segment, you just don't really get that effect.
No.
They're normally just enough power, right? But nothing that actually gives you any real heavy sensation of acceleration. That surge of torque right off the line definitely feels like a very notable improvement over both the regular RAV4 and the previous RAV4 hybrid. Now, of course, in terms of the transmission situation, this is an eCVT, which is typical for Toyota's hybrid system. And like we said, this is available with front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, which is a change from the previous model, which was just all-wheel drive in the hybrid powertrain. That's going to help you with efficiency. And that's also why there's a power discrepancy between the two, because you have a dedicated rear electric motor with the all-wheel drive system.
Yeah, and of course, it goes without saying, you can also get a plug-in hybrid for this model. So just like before, they do offer a plug-in hybrid, and that's going to be really quite powerful. So if you want even more power than what this standard hybrid system is giving you, that has 324 horsepower. That is really about the most powerful thing that I can think of in this entire segment. That's for sure. Well over 300 horsepower. That's courtesy of a larger battery pack. It's 22.7 kilowatt hours, the same 2.5 liter 4-cylinder setup. And we do look forward to covering that on the channel here in the future. So definitely stay tuned as we cover the plug-in hybrid variant as well. But this is a hybrid RAV4 after all, so what is the fuel economy? And we are sitting at 44 city, 39 highway, 42 combined. That is really good fuel economy. I believe that is also a class-leading figure when it comes to that department. Really amazing numbers there. You can also get up to 44 mpg combined with all-wheel drive on the LE and SE trim levels. And then if you get the front-wheel drive version, that's also 44 mpg combined, almost 50 mpg on that model in the city. And it's not just good news with the hybrid system. The plug-in hybrid also has really excellent range if you're interested in that. It goes up to 52 miles, Toyota estimated, on a single charge. So really improved numbers when it comes to the plug-in hybrid as well. And the fuel economy on that, even after the battery is drained, is still sitting at about 41 to 37 mpg combined. So still really great numbers even after you drain the battery. All right, let's speed up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading. 58.7 decibels is the number that we have settled in as our sound level reading in the all-new RAV4. And, you know, I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of the competition. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And indeed, that is going to be not quite the quietest option in the segment, that's for sure. However, I do want to point out, obviously, we are not in our home state of Kentucky. You see all the cacti around. We are in Arizona. Super rough road surface on this road that we're on right now, so that definitely is contributing to a higher than average sound level reading, that's for sure. We do look forward to getting one of these back home in Kentucky to get you that official number, but for now that's a good reference point for you. I think it's actually not a bad number, especially considering how rough this road is, and Toyota has said that for this new generation of RAV4 they've spent a little bit more time making it more insulated inside of the cabin, so that's definitely good news for those of you that are going to be taking this on road trips. It should be quite a bit quieter as compared to the previous generation, and we kind of saw that show up here with our sound level reading as well. Now, also good news is the ride quality. So we've been driving around here all morning long, and like I just said, this is a pretty rough road surface, and even if we hit big bumps in the road, I think it does a great job in terms of ride quality. Now, I have to say I was a little bit skeptical because we have the 20-inch wheels on the outside for this limited example. I thought the ride quality might be sacrificed a bit by choosing those, and I'm happy to tell you it really is not. This is still one of the very best riding options in the entire segment. We actually just spent some time with the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan that also has big 20-inch wheels, and this certainly is a step above when it comes to ride quality. It rides it really, really nicely. Also, these seats are quite comfortable. That's definitely not a given in this segment, so I'm happy to tell you all of that. It's going to be a nice, comfortable option for longer road trips.
Right, and of course, if you're looking to have the maximum in terms of ride quality, then choose a model with the 18-inch alloys. As I mentioned on the outside, the Limited actually starts with the 18-inch alloys, so that will be able to give you the best ride quality overall. And of course, when it comes to handling as well, the new RAV4 has some improvements. Although most of the platform is very similar to the outgoing generation, this always had pretty decent handling. With the Limited trim, you know, this is more luxury focused, obviously. Some of the other models have the sport-tuned suspension for a little bit more of aggression, but I think this is perfect for most people with light steering that has fast response and decent body control. There's a good demonstration of the everyday power needs. You know, you can merge onto the highway with ease in this thing. I think we need to do today's slam dunk and airball. So for the slam dunk, we're going to say it really is kind of the overall strength of this model and how they improved all the key elements that I think make a RAV4 a RAV4. You know, its strongest things, such as having the hybrid powertrain with the best fuel economy, just gets even better. You know, some of the packaging, some of the design, more trim selections than ever before. I think they really paid a lot of attention to what has made the RAV4 so successful over the years and just doubled down on those elements.
Absolutely. And then on the airball side of things, what we're going to say is, especially here in the Limited example, we definitely would have liked a little bit of a nicer cabin finish. There are definitely some cheaper materials inside of this cabin, especially considering that this is going to be one of the highest priced options in the entire segment. It certainly does not have a Mazda grade cabin, or things like the new Volkswagen Tiguan that we experienced that has a much more luxurious cabin than what you find here on this RAV4. And let's talk about pricing and availability. First of all, let's talk pricing. So unfortunately, at the time of us filming this video, Toyota has not released prices for this RAV4. So that's a little unfortunate, but I'm going to go ahead and give you our professional estimation. So previously, it started around $32,000. We do expect a price premium for this new model. I'd expect maybe $2,000 more expensive than all of the 2025 examples. So I'd say your starting point realistically is going to be right around that $36,000 price point after destination. You have a ton of different trim levels on this, and then you end in the limited here on the core models. A fully loaded limited previously was around $45,500. I'd expect it to go up to around $47,000 or maybe a little bit more after destination. Now, as far as availability is concerned for this new RAV4, they have said that the hybrid models, so the HEVs, are coming to dealers December of 2025, so not too much longer at all. And then if you want the plug-in hybrid, that will be launching in spring of 2026. Now, if you're looking to buy a RAV4 or any new vehicle, we'd like to encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of all of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description down below, as well as a pinned comment. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Toyota RAV4's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'd be worth 64.5% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 41.4%. Now, it's worth noting those are better than industry average for all vehicle brands. It's actually the second best resale value of any brand that we look at, so a very, very good figure, especially against all of its competition.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you the most holistic picture. When we take all this into account with the latest reliability data, Toyota is rated as the #1 automaker in the entire auto industry.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you especially want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have Toyota Signature set up, a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do also get 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the all-new 2026 Toyota RAV4 Limited. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we really hope you did, we'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We'll also be covering this RAV4 in much more detail in the future, so I promise you won't want to miss out on all the different trim levels as well as other types of content. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies, and if you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support.